18th century theorists first promoted the idea Jesus' tomb was not adequately guarded, allowing his body to be stolen. This theory has now been rejected by the majority of even critical scholars, and most now recognize exceptional guarding of Jesus' tomb as an important fact of history. Although this theory is largely downplayed within the modern academic community, some have chosen to cling to it, so we will take time to refute it. While doing this, we must recognize the imposing quality of the guard provides further evidence Jesus' resurrection was a truly supernatural event. A Roman guard typically consisted of at least 16 soldiers, 4 of which would always remain alert, while the other 12 surrounded their front side in a semicircular pattern. We have no reason to believe the Roman guard used at Jesus' tomb was any smaller than this, for the Jewish religious authorities certainly put forth their best effort to assure the largest possible military force was in place to prevent potential theft. Some skeptics have claimed a temple guard was used instead of a Roman guard. However, even in this case, there would have been approximately 10 highly trained men positioned in front of Jesus' tomb. Edersheim, citing the Jewish missionist, said, "During the night, the captain of the temple made his rounds. On his approach, the guards had to rise and salute him in a particular manner. Any guard found asleep when on duty was beaten, or his garments were set on fire, a punishment, as we know, actually awarded. Failing temple guards also potentially faced the harsh sentence of execution. Due to the Jewish religious leaders' intense hatred toward Jesus, it is quite likely a negligent guard would have received the death penalty if they had slept and allowed his body to be stolen. A temple guard would have still been highly motivated and very capable of successfully guarding Jesus' tomb." It's also important to note the New Testament Greek word custodia was used to describe the guard, which referred to a Roman guard at that time. Additionally, there would have been no need for the Jewish religious leaders to plead before Pilate if they intended to use their own temple guard. Further, the soldiers mentioned in Matthew 28:11-15 were scared of the Roman governor's response, not that of the Jewish religious leaders, for they were chiefly accountable to the Roman government. These combined factors indicate a Roman guard was used. This conclusion also makes sense, for the Jewish religious leaders would have wanted the best possible soldiers guarding the tomb. The Romans were the best. Armed Roman soldiers were superior to any other group of warriors in at least ancient human history. T.G. Tucker described the intimidating weaponry carried by a typical Roman soldier by stating, "In his right hand he will carry the famous Roman pike. This is a stout weapon, over 6 feet in length, consisting of a sharp iron head fixed in a wooden shaft, and the soldier may either charge with it as with a bayonet, or he may hurl it like a javelin and then fight at close quarters with his sword. On the left arm is a large shield, which may be of various shapes. One common form is curved inside at the sides like a portion of a cylinder some 4 feet in length by 2.5 feet in width. Another 6-sided, a diamond pattern, but with the points of the diamond squared away. Sometimes it's oval. In construction, it is of wicker work or wood, covered with leather and embossed with a blazon and metal work, one particularly well known being that of a thunderbolt. The shield is not only carried by means of a handle, but may be supported by a belt over the right shoulder. In order to be out of the way of the shield, the sword, a thrusting rather than a slashing weapon approaching 3 feet in length, is hung on the right side by a belt passing over the left shoulder. Though this arrangement may seem awkward to us, it is to be remembered that the sword is not required until the right hand is free of the pike, and then that, before drawing, the weapon can be easily swung around to the left by means of a suspending belt. On the left side, the soldier wears a dagger at his girdle. Nothing human could have removed such a formidable force of 16 armed Roman soldiers from their posts at the entrance of Jesus' tomb, especially since they would have likely paid the death penalty for abandoning their mission. Roman guards were put to death for leaving their posts or falling asleep by being crucified upside down or thrown off a cliff, as well as through other torturous methods. In light of this fact, it's unreasonable to believe all the soldiers guarding Jesus' tomb left their post or fell asleep with such an unpleasant death threat hanging over their heads. They would have fought to their final breath to protect the tomb's entrance. If the tomb really had been raided by a force of human thieves, then 16 dead soldiers would have been left as evidence. But, as the historical records affirm, the soldiers were alive following the disappearance of Christ from the tomb. Despite the fatal consequences, some critics still believe the soldiers all slept at night while the stone was rolled away and the body taken. This, however, is highly unlikely. Dr. George Curry, a student of Roman military discipline, cited an eyewitness account from a Roman soldier named Polybius, who personally observed, "The punishment for quitting a post was death, according to the laws. The most famous discourse on the fear of death is that of Polybius, which indicates the fear of punishments produce flawless attention to duty, especially in the night watches. This account carries weight from the prestige of the author, who is describing what he had an opportunity to see with his own eyes. His statements are duplicated in a general way by others." As Thornburn has stated, the soldiers cannot have alleged that they were asleep, for they well knew that the penalty of sleeping upon a watch was death, always rigorously enforced. The body of Jesus was gone, and their negligence in any case would have been punishable by death. If by chance the entire unit of guards fell asleep, They would have certainly heard the huge stone grating as it was being rolled away and then quickly leapt into action. Since the tomb was carved out of a rock shelf, there was only one way into it, through the stone at the door. It is unreasonable to think the disciples or anyone else could have snuck past sleeping guards and successfully moved the massive stone without the soldiers being awakened by the noise as it rolled up the slotted incline. Even if one accepts the incredible claim the entire force of 16 soldiers slept on the job and awoke to find a stolen body, there is little doubt the grave robbers would have been tracked down and dealt with efficiently. Since the Roman military was good enough to conquer the known world, they certainly could have apprehended a couple grave robbers. The Romans would have had major motivation to find Jesus' dead body, since the news of his resurrection was causing a noticeable uproar, which they would have wanted to silence quickly. They and the Jewish religious authorities would not have just thrown up their hands, said, "Oh well," and forgotten about the incident. The resurrection news was a major thorn in their side, which they would have wanted to remove. So many exceptional circumstances and extraordinary security precautions surrounded Jesus' crucifixion, burial, entombment, sealing, and tomb guarding, it has become even more impossible for critics to reasonably defend their position that Christ did not rise from the dead by supernatural power.